Good Friday morning. Hey, who's this new dog here? Do we know that dog? Uh-oh. That dog just went in my house. Anybody know whose dog that is? Yeah, we got, well, that's the gentleman that works for me, his dog. That's what's going on there. But hey, good Friday, Ice Age TV morning. Beautiful weather here. I mean, up north here in the Virginia area, it's just beautiful when it comes to be the early fall. September, October, October, but September usually is beautiful, especially for motorcycle riding. Yeah, so what's going on today in the Ice Age TV conversations, right? I've been posting video every day. I might turn it into the blobber, the bobber, the what am I turning into? Yeah, what am I turning into? There's my Bronco hat and Bronco. And yeah, just always something going on in this world. And I just thought I'd post this morning a little thought process for everybody to watch my YouTube channel. And got to thinking this morning, the used car market here. I'm the guy going out and buying everything used. We've had those conversations sitting here around me, and I even have mentioned how I think the used car market's going to stay very strong. But tell you what, what's that all about, right? But I tell you what's interesting is some economic news is starting to pop out. And you got to start kind of scratching your head and wonder. Now, for the record, I predicted over a year ago, third quarter this year would be an eye-opener. Yeah. I said over a year ago, I think the third quarter, in my hat, a little crooked there, give me a little goofy look. You're just goofy looking as it is, right? Yeah, don't get too personal. So, here I'm going to turn my truck on. And got a busy day, but just thought I'd kind of, talk about what I'm starting to think is, man, maybe for all these YouTube subscribers of mine that are listening to my advice, they'd be like, yeah, listen to your advice. We'd all be broker than broke. We'd all be in bed with you, right? Yeah. Actually, I wouldn't even be in a bed because my wife wouldn't even let me live in the house anymore for what you do. I mean, yeah, I get all that. So anyways, I just kind of got to thinking to myself this morning after last night reading that FedEx just announced that, it's bad. Their business is way down in shipment and deliveries. I mean, so, what's that all about, right? Yeah, so I mean, when you hear the shipping companies, and part of me says, is Amazon starting to have an impact on them? Is that being disclosed? I don't know. But then the next article is Scott's fertilizers. They're in trouble. They so overproduced fertilizer that people aren't buying it. So basically what the article is about is how the Scott's fertilizer during the pandemic got hit because they didn't have people to make fertilizer, but everybody lined up in droves to do renovation in their house and make their property look pretty during the pandemic. But Scott's couldn't deliver the fertilizer because they didn't have the production to be able to do it. So they ramped up production, built like another factory or updated factories or whatever, and they just went all out. And now this past summer, nobody showed up to buy all the fertilizer made. So right now they are in big trouble. I mean, I'm not making this up. Scott's, fertilizer is in deep financial dire straits right now because they've leveraged so much of their business, and the retailers don't want it. The retailers don't want the product, so they're stuck with all this. You remember yesterday I was talking in my video about how manufacturers make something, they give it to a guy to sell it, and it's your problem now. Yeah, you remember that story? If you listen to my video, you'll kind of get that message right there. Yeah, Scott's fertilizer can't find anybody to put it in their stores. They don't want it. That's massive. So you have to step back and say, well, what's that all about? And then the next thing I read about is the interest rates now on average are 6% to buy a house. It's the most expensive since 2008. So you just start connecting the dots. I've talked about this so many times, and some people are like, well, you've got a car channel here, and why are you starting to talk this, economic, turmoil and everything else? Well, come on, connect the dots. If these are any indicators of where things are starting to play out, so I've always told you, media's not going to tell you the way it is. You're kidding yourself if you think your local news station and the general news is me telling you the stock market's going to crash next week, this blah, blah, blah. I'm not talking about the radical channels. I'm just saying in general. The media's not going to tell you. How do they know? How does this media person, how do you know, right? If you weren't watching news, how would you know anything? So somebody's telling somebody of something, but then a lot of that stuff is edited so you don't know what's going on. I mean, are they showing all these homeless people in fentanyl deaths all day long on TV every day? If they did, a lot more people would probably be getting riled up about that, but they don't do that. You know, you don't see all these poor people that are in the immigrants. I mean, you don't see that either. I mean, yeah, that's just news they don't want to talk about. Yeah, why? I wonder. So what I'm radiating back to you is, I was talking the other day about how the used car market's strong. The new car production still isn't up to ramp, but at the same time, you wonder to yourself, there's speculation out there that are the manufacturers intentionally kind of slowing production down as they see how much money they can make off of the supply and demand. You know, I mean, think it through. People are paying premium money for cars right now. Never seen in my lifetime. I've never witnessed used cars being worth more than a new car. Yeah, you think okay, just shop around. I mean, it's incredible. If you, last night I was for the heck of it going, oh, this is dangerous. Let me look for a Hellcat wide body red eye. Oh my gosh, yeah, I got a Hellcat wide body red eye that I pretty much paid $1,000 less than the previous person did on the MSRP just 2 years ago. Not even 2 years ago, 1 year. I mean, yeah, right. So anyways, what I'm trying to say this morning is this: you have to start thinking to yourself, is the used car market the next, surprise of, oh, wait a second, these car dealers aren't doing as good as they said they're doing. These car dealers are actually, sucking wind more than you realize. I'm not talking about in certain demographic areas, but overall, the areas that, throughout the country, rural areas, are they really starting to see people kind of not show up like they used to? And even the point yesterday, if you watched my video, why does Koons Baltimore Ford now have a few Ford Lightnings sitting on their lot? And don't get me wrong, the pricing on them scares people away, so that's one thing. But at the same time, the crazy, stupid buying, I mean, just like the Rivian. Here's for the Rivian people. They don't watch my channel, I'm sure, but Rivians, I've noticed Rivians up in this area, they're dropping pricing. Hasn't gotten radical drops, but yeah, those prices are kind of going down. What's that all about, right? I mean, first of all, they're overpriced. It's a $90,000 car that people are trying to get $120, $130 out of, which, no thanks. So yeah, today's message talk is about the used car market. And I guess you could even say the new car market. All right, let's take a time out here as I get in my office and get my coffee. Yeah, here's the daily routine. Up the stairs, the dogs. They get in my way so I can fall down the stairs. Yeah, that happens, As you get older in life, dogs can be very dangerous to your well-being. Where's the other dog? There's the dog. So, got my coffee to start hacking and the Mach-E thing, right? So anyway, this morning's conversations, like I say, I just had to think to myself this morning on how the media slowly, I think, is disclosing the truth. Is it? I don't know. But when you start reading the Wall Street Journal, multiple articles about companies are starting to show they're in financial hardships. And in fact, even to the point that same article with the fertilizer, Scott's Fertilizer, there was an article kind of, added to it that there's many, many, many retailers that are not doing very well. Same problem. They have overstock. See, what you got to wonder is, the whole pitch has been now, since the pandemic, the reason everything's so much more expensive is we can't get it, and we just is short on supply, and blah, 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 blah. Well, wait a second. Now I'm reading an article that's saying, and like I say many times, how much do you believe and don't believe when you read the media anymore? But at the same time, I think that more than ever, the media is not wanting to get too radical on what's going on. There's the dogs, right? That's my day. Nope. So anyways, So that same article is basically relaying a message to me that other, big retail business is starting to see the reflection of consumers are pulling back. What I mean, it's a no-brainer. I mean, does anybody have the discretionary spending they had 2 years ago when you weren't driving to work, when gas was $1.98 or $2.01 a gallon, and the food prices weren't crazy? And you can just go through the list of things that 2 years ago, how different it was from 2 years later. And it's all, pandemic related. But for me, it's like anything in life. I had so many friends and businesses that made so much money during the pandemic. Ask a contractor, ask the handyman guy how his phone rang off the hook. Ask the electrician how his phone rang off the hook. Ask the bicycle dealer that couldn't get enough bicycles. His challenge was he didn't have enough bicycles to sell. Ask the Dick's Sporting Goods or whatever, big fitness equipment store. Ask them, their biggest challenge was they couldn't get equipment to sell to the consumer. Ask any boat salesman what his or her biggest challenge was. They didn't have enough boats to sell to people. Ask the motorcycle dealerships more than ever, even now, but that's kind of changed, I think. But what was their biggest challenge? They didn't have the motorcycles the consumer wanted, and they couldn't keep them in stock. Ask the car dealerships on how they didn't have enough cars to sell. Literally they had people driving in droves to go buy cars, but they didn't have them. You can go through a whole list. Costco ran out of toilet paper. Costco, paper towels, water. The list goes on and on and on and on. But how long does that last? Eventually, when do people, stop? But here's the thing: how it all works. People stop when they don't have the money. I said this the other morning, that when the banks start saying no, that's when things start changing. So, and even to the point that apparently everybody's credit cards. So once again, this is my YouTube channel. It's a car channel, and that's my life. It's cars, trucks. Have you figured it out yet? Come on. But what I'm saying is, as myself and anybody watching my channel, do you start to think, whoa, you know what? The paintings on the wall, like my car's over there, right? Paintings on the wall, and it's all the indicators are, boy, if you just kind of sit it out a little bit longer, you're going to be rewarded. I think next year, the people that manage their money and just sat on the sidelines and are patient, I think they're going to be rewarded. And what I mean by that? Well, I think that the people that want to get a nice car or used car, I think the realities are going to start to set in, because when people stop driving in the droves to go buy cars at car dealerships, they have no choice to, basically, discount the cars. That's how it all plays out. That. Anybody buys a car understands it. That's why in the good old days, when the dealerships had a car sitting there for 6 months, they wanted to get rid of it. And they'd do anything to get rid of it, which was in reason. They didn't have to actually write you a check to get rid of it, but they would just get rid of it. Just like my Super Snake F-150 truck that I just sold. You got to wonder, how does this work? And and this is kind of private information to a degree, but at the same time, whatever. They gave me $80,000 for that truck, that's one reason I parted that truck. Some people have been like, man, keep that truck. I paid $92,000 for that truck, plus tax and everything else. And it's just so disappointing, because whether you realize it or not, the four-door Shelby trucks that are custom, they're usually lifted. Those four-door trucks, you usually can buy one and drive it and pretty much get close to what you paid for it. I'm not embellishing there. Those trucks are the most sought-after trucks, but I don't know. I think the Ram TRX has kind of changed that market a little bit too. And the new Ford Raptor will definitely change that market with the Predator 700 plus horsepower setup. So what I'm telling you is, I traded that truck on the Raptor 2022, the black one. And I know, it's a numbers game. That's all the dealers do. They make you feel good. I get that. So they want $90,000 for the Raptor, or whatever the number was. but I don't want to pay 90 grand, or they paid, or it's 95 grand, or whatever it is. Okay, you have to get the paperwork. As many cars I've bought, I don't, who the heck knows. So then they say they're going to give me, 80 grand for my Super Snake. And believe it or not, from Kuhn Sterling Ford, where I bought the car originally, I was really bummed because they're actually the Super Snake Shelby, specialists in this Virginia, Maryland area. They can't, whether you realize it or not, in Maryland, Maryland does not allow new car dealers or car dealers to sell a new Super Snake Shelby built product. Meaning, the Shelby product, not the Ford Mustang built from Ford factory. I'm talking about the company that specializes, Shelby American, that makes the Shelby certified and allowed licensed cars. It's the Shelby Super Snake Mustang. It's the Shelby trucks that they built. In Maryland, they do not allow modified cars. And what you need to understand here is when you go buy a Shelby Super Snake car that competes against the Shelby GT500 Ford produced car, the Shelby Super Snake car is a GT Mustang that is shipped to the Tuscany factory. That's the name of the company that makes these Shelby products. It's shipped to the Tuscany factory. They have one like in Indianapolis and one out in Las Vegas, or Indiana, I should say. And they take a base GT Mustang and they gut it, and then they turn it into a Super Snake Mustang. So and that's why they're so expensive, because first thing they're doing is buying, for 30, 35 grand, whatever it is, a GT Mustang, but then they're just gutting the whole car out and updating it with bigger brakes, different suspension. They put a supercharger on the engine. They redo the exhaust. They do all the aesthetics to it, and there's a lot of other things they do to it that I'm not even including. But in the state of Maryland, any car that's modified is not allowed to be sold as a new car in the state of Maryland. So Maryland can't be a Shelby dealer. And the reason I'm explaining this to you is the Kuhn Sterling Ford, where I live in this area, that's one of just a select few dealers in Virginia that are allowed to sell the Shelby product in the Virginia side. Maryland side can't do it. So the dealer was 10, 15 grand cheaper on a value of that truck. So I'm getting like a $65,000, $75,000 wholesale value on that truck. Wow. So here's a truck. This was so disappointing to me. Is that truck was number 76 of supposedly like 250 built in 2020. I think the end number was 280 maybe. And it was supposed to be a 1 year and one run done deal. That was supposed to be a limited production car. That was my understanding. And once again, I could be wrong. If you watch my YouTube channel, it's a Tuscany representative or works for Shelby may know more about this, but that's how it was presented. So I'm thinking that $92,000 truck's always going to have about $100K value. Yeah, nope, no. And that's why I dumped it. Because to me, I've said this many times, you go out and buy a $100,000 car and you keep it for the whole term and you finance it, you just blew $120,000. Yeah. For why? For what? And now what? When I'm dead and my kid, is my age, gets maybe $1 million for it? I mean, are you kidding me? You're going to wait 30, 40, 50 years? Yeah, you're an idiot. No, for me, that isn't who I am. I'm not going to do that. So, going back to my car, here's Kuhn's Baltimore Ford that supposedly gave me 80 grand for it, but I know they didn't give me 80 grand because they're playing with numbers on trading another vehicle. They just play with numbers on that they know they can kind of move the numbers around. And the reason I'm bringing this up is the car the Super Snake is gone. And the guy paid $78,000 for it. You know as well as I do. A car dealership's going to write a $2,000 check to sell that truck? No. Yeah, so do they probably give me more like 72 for it? Maybe 75? Probably. Because it's just buried in that Ford Raptor deal where they wanted 15 grand. They wanted like either 15 grand over or 12 grand over, and I didn't agree to that. So, but yeah, what did I agree to, right? So, this kind of goes away from a little bit of what I'm saying, but think this through. So, when I'm up there at the Kuhn's site yesterday, and I drove home without buying a car, thank God, I'm just looking around thinking, what's going on with that F-150 Lightning? I talked about it earlier. So, going back to right now, everything that's going on in the economy, to me, it's just saying subliminally to anybody watching the media or watching my channel, and I don't know if that's the right word, but it's basically, it's like the writing is on the wall, not the painting, the writing, right? Yeah, well, get some more coffee, Ice Age man. So I think that the people that are patient, I think next year, see, and what we don't understand is this. The people have overextended themselves. I shouldn't say you don't understand, but what we need to think about, what we need to talk about is where the used car market will fail is when tons of people have used cars, because remember, you buy a new car, now you own it, it's a used car. They aren't able to pay their payments anymore, and they're underwater in debt, and so now the droves of used cars start coming to market. That's what's going to start driving down the used car market value. That's what, it isn't going to be so much that the new cars production starts to ramp up. It's going to be the repossession time. It's going to be where people sadly lose their jobs. People are losing their jobs left and right. It just blows me away on how the media presents a picture that you can just go anywhere you want. You're going to be able to just pick and choose whatever job you get. It's so false narrative. It's ridiculous. Who's telling people this stuff? It's ridiculous. But we buy into it. So, yeah, okay. Well, and, there's probably some people out there who have gotten great jobs that left their other job. And congratulations. Great. That's fantastic. I'm with you. But the point is, next year, I think things are going to start to show on why the country is really starting to go, is already going in the wrong direction. What is my theme and talking about this whole week? I said out of control, right? So, and I think the country's out of control. And what stops that? Well, money's one of the biggest things that stops that craziness. Yeah. When the government doesn't have enough money to do things, and things start to change. The hardships are put upon us. So, as far as individuals go, and I said this a few videos or a week ago that, they claim repossessions are up 30%. I have no idea. I don't know, well, I know one thing, just going to the car dealers, the interest rates to buy cars, they're way up. So those deals are gone, and that starts to add to the monthly payment. So that's very challenging. Look at me. I get it. I'm the guy that's, don't follow me based on what's going to happen. Yeah, if you follow me, we'll both be looking at each other, right? So, the message this morning is, it certainly seems like the economic times of change are upon us. And I truly believe that I think that the people that have sat idle and have been able to hold their pocketbooks next year will be rewarded. I think that I think there's going to be some great deals out there for people next year. And it's something you need to think about too is, when somebody's in financial dire straits, ask me how I know. Things don't happen instantly. You can have a neighbor right now that is behind on their mortgage, or even behind their rent, whatever it may be, or they're behind on their car payment. They don't just disappear overnight. So somebody that gets behind their house payment, they could be in their house for another year or two. Yeah, believe it or not, that's how it kind of plays out. Ask me how I know. For a person that's indebted in their car, usually they're much more aggressive. But if they're tricky and they finagle things, that could go further than you realize. So meaning, once you're two car payments behind a car, then they start getting aggressive. Once you're 3 car payments, ask me how I know. 3 car payments behind, they get very aggressive to come get your car. But then at the last second, you make one more payment, just so you're only 60 days behind instead of 90 days behind. Well, you bought yourself another month. So, unbeknownst to you, you could have friends, family, associates, neighbors, whatever, that, are so behind in their bills right now, but they're able just to make that one last second payment before it really gets bad. So, but how long does that last? Ask me how I know, okay? And I have family. Ask me how I know. I have friends. So, once again, the conversation this morning is, I think the used car market is slowly turning and changing. I don't see it being tomorrow. I think fourth quarter, I think that more so you'll probably start to hear more stories. And that's what I predicted over a year ago, was that the third quarter would be an eye-opener. I think fourth quarter would be the, no way. It'll be the jaw drop, open mouth, drop the mic, of what's really going on in this country. All right, everybody. Hope everybody's enjoying my YouTube channel, and and it's just here's ideas and views, and I'd love to hear other people respond. Like, yeah, guy, you're smoking dope, and you're so wrong, because I work at a car dealership, and we can't keep cars in stock. Or another person's like, hey, you know what? Sadly, my brother-in-law or my next door neighbor, they just lost their car. They're in dire straits. The inflation's killed them. Their company closed up. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Or no, my next door neighbor, that person's making more money than I've ever seen them make, and they're doing so great, and we're doing so great, and this is all a bunch of malarkey. Okay, well, whatever. I mean, nothing lasts forever. So there's no way you're going to convince me that the New England Patriots and Tom Brady win every Super Bowl. It doesn't happen. It just about did, though, didn't it? All right, everybody. Hey, thanks for watching my YouTube channel. Hit subscribe. Tell your friends and neighbors about it. And hopefully some of my information helps you become a better person. God bless and have a great day.